Today I want to reflect on a quote from Earl Nightingale. You become what you think about most of the time. In 1989, a Buddhist spiritual text called How to Live Without Fear and Worry stated, "The thought manifests as the word manifests as the deed develops into habit, and the habit hardens into character." The words in this text actually echo what Buddha said more than 2,500 years ago. We are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts, and with our thoughts we make the world. Now, in more modern times, this sentiment has been expressed in the relationship to sowing and weeping. In 1950, in the Sunday News and Tribune of Jefferson City, Missouri, it was expressed as, "Sow a thought, reap a word. Sow a word, reap a deed. Sow a deed, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. And sow a character, reap a destiny." Now, my favorite version of this comes from an American entrepreneur, Frank Outlaw, the late president of the VBlog stores. His version goes like this: watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become character. Watch your character, for it becomes your destiny. Now, I've been in the marketing business most of my life, and I've heard different versions of what Earl Nightingale said, but I never really understood it until last year when I watched a movie called The Secret. Now, after I watched this film, I reflected on the ideas that were expressed about the law of attraction, and I began to understand just how powerful our thoughts are, and just how much what we think about affects our lives in every single way. I began to see examples of this idea throughout Scripture. I began to see how people like Joyce Myers and Joel Osteen are able to tap into this concept with their motivational sermons. There are so many things today that consume our thoughts. I know that in my own life, I found that when I changed what I thought about most, when I began to concentrate on what I wanted to achieve or have, instead of concentrating on my failures or what I lack, only then things began to change. Now, believe me, when you're unemployed, there's lots of things that you lack in your life that you can really dwell on. But I decided throughout my entire unemployment that I would concentrate my thoughts on what I wanted to accomplish in life, to concentrate on all the things that I wanted to become and to have. And you know what? I felt better every single day. I had a purpose. I felt as though I could have or become anything, and with that new mindset, I saw opportunities before me that I would never seen otherwise. I met people that would make a difference in my life. People like Dr. Wallach and Brandy Brogdon. I would have never met them had I not been concentrating on future success instead of present or past failures. Over these past couple of years, because of that unemployment, I began to work more on my personal development. I began reading books written by some of the most influential and successful people of our time, as well as throughout history. Book after book, video after video, speaker after speaker. Andrew Carnegie, Dale Carnegie, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Henry Ford, Walt Disney, even Vince Lombardi. They all seem to express one common thing. That same thing that Earl Nightingale said. You become what you think about most of the time. This idea has really consumed me these past couple of years. You become what you think about most of the time. That begs to answer the question, what do I think about most of the time? Jim Rohn said, when you know what you want and you want it bad enough, you'll find a way to get it. What do I want? A job? More money? Things? Time freedom? What do I really want? Zig Ziglar said, the chief cause of failure and unhappiness is trading what you want most for what you want right now. And outstanding people have one thing in common, an absolute sense of mission. So what do I really want? According to Napoleon Hill, the starting point of all achievement is desire. Keep this constantly in mind. Weak desire brings results, just as a small amount of fire makes a small amount of heat. He also said that riches do not respond to wishes. They respond only to definite plans backed by definite desires through constant persistence. So, what do I want? Where do I start? Jim Rohn said, if you go to work on your goals will go to work on you. If you go to work on your plan will go to work on you. Whatever good things we build up end up building us. So that's where I started. I looked at where I've been and where I'd like to go in the future. Albert Einstein once said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So I asked myself the question, if I keep on doing what I've been doing, will I get there? Well, of course, the answer is no. So for the first time in my life, I mapped out both short-term and long-term goals. I began exploring ways to achieve them. I began thinking outside the box. I began to activate the law of attraction and to follow what Earl Nightingale said. You become what you think about most of the time. And that is where, that's when I began to meet people like Dr. Wallach and Dr. Corey Gold and Tom Chenault and Dave and Barb Pitcock. That's when I took a deeper look into the home business industry that all these people were involved in. And I began to see just what the possibilities truly were. Every one of these people that I met followed the idea that Napoleon Hill stated so well. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So a year ago I took a leap of faith and I teamed up with all these fine people because as I saw it, as Napoleon Hill said, the person who takes no chances generally has to take whatever is left over when others are through. And guys, I was tired of the crumbs that were being left over. I was sick and tired of working long hours, making other people rich, while I clung on to the hope that I'd be able to keep my health long enough to retire. Why? So I could work for them until I died, or until they decided I was no longer of use for them? Well, it's been a year now since I began following these folks and became a part of their team, and I've created a steady stream of income, a residual income, an income that continues to come in despite the fact that I've taken about a month away from this business now to do some personal development and training and some planning for the next year. A stream of income that will continue to grow and that will continue to develop over the future. A stream of income that will continue to grow until I replace what I used to make working 70 hours a week for somebody else. To have that freedom is what consumes my thoughts now the most. Freedom to spend time with my family and not worry about my income. Freedom to not be owned by corporate job. Freedom to become all that I can become while helping others. As Walt Disney said, if you can dream it, you can do it. I have now proven to myself that I truly can do it. What do you think about most of the time? Do you think about the things you don't have? Your lack of financial means to do the things you want? To have the things you desire? Are you consumed with thoughts about your debt? Maybe you think about and worry about your health, how you can't seem to lose those pounds that you want to shed, or maybe it's your high blood pressure or diabetes, or maybe you think most about the lack of time to spend with your spouse and children, that field trip that you missed, the weekend scouting or sporting events that you weren't able to attend. Are your thoughts consumed by your job? Whether or not you're going to get that promotion, or you're constantly worried about whether or not you're even going to be able to keep your job, and if you don't keep your job, if you'll be able to find another one? What do you really want? I think for most of us, certainly for me, what it came right down to is freedom. I wanted freedom, and my guess is so do you. You want options. You want to be of value, to make an impact. What would that feel like to make an impact on other people's lives? What would it feel like to be free? What would it feel like not to have an alarm clock? What would it feel like to take your son or daughter to the dentist without having to ask your boss's permission? To go to that school play or maybe that Christmas pageant? What would it feel like? There's an even bigger question though. Who do you want to be? What really changed for me is when I asked myself that question. I no longer wanted to be a statistic working 70 hours per week, trading my time for money. I no longer wanted to be someone that questioned my worth. I no longer wanted to be someone that moped around and just wasn't present. I no longer wanted to be that person. So who did I want to be? I wanted to be someone that made an impact, not just in the area of their health, but also in life. I wanted to be someone that touched and moved and inspired people. Who did I want to be? Not just my why, because I have the same why most of my life. I thought while I was working all those 70-hour weeks that I was actually working toward my why. It was focusing on who I wanted to be that truly drove me and gave me the vision to keep going. Dr. Michael Beckwith says, pain pushes you until vision pulls you. So as the new year approaches, I say to you, what vision is pulling you after all? You become what you think about most. I hope you enjoyed this blog post. If you did, please click on the link on this page to subscribe to my blog. If you found this video through YouTube, then please visit my blog site, aimhighwithkeith.com. It's aimhighwithkeith, Keith.com, and subscribe. I would love to talk with you about what you really want out of life. I'd love to show you how you can make it a reality so that you can become what you think about most. So give me a call on my information line, 866-257-3105. That's 866-257-3105. Or visit my website, aimhighenergy.com, and fill out the contact form there, and I'll get back with you, and we'll talk about what you really want out of life and how you can get there.